Hey, I want to talk about an issue that's something that's been weighing heavy on my mind for about a year now. It's the potential within trade agreements between allies and other countries regarding commodities that are affected by acts of God. I know we talked about the water rights and we talked about what we should do to bring water to the San Joaquin Valley. Now I'd like to talk about the potential in regards to the trading of those commodities between countries, because from what I gathered, and I am at some point at some level a theorist, not conspiracy theorist, but a theorist that thinks of the potential dangers within governing between allies, the ally groups governing between their relationship, and then trade. One of the things that I see as a potential scare is the use of trade agreements as a military strategy. Hear me out. Listen. Okay, a commodity like cantaloupe, almonds, cotton, even all of this stuff that is affected by God, you really should not be termed out within a contract longer than 2 years, because the farmer knows we rely so much on God in order to fulfill those contracts, and the farmers have contracts too that they have to fulfill in exporting. And so when a country enters into a trade agreement with another country, you have to think about other intent within that leader. Because if he takes a commodity and trades it for longer than 2 years, let's say he goes out to 14 years, and he commits a country to 14 years, and maybe he's at that, let's say like Mexico has a group of allies that's been there forever, and they've nurtured the relationship, it's great, it's wonderful. And let's say an outside country, I'm not saying US, I'm not saying anybody else, I'm just saying an outside country maybe don't like that so much. Maybe they don't like Mexico. Maybe they don't like, maybe they have an intent 5-10 years down the road that's bad. So what they do is they go in and they take the allies, because they can still trade with the allies. Maybe they don't want to trade with Mexico, but maybe they want to trade with the allies. And maybe that's allowed within the governing of the allyship. Because you don't want exclusivity. Oh, you want to isolate yourself from the rest of the world. And a country like Mexico, no, it's got great standing, and they're not going to do it. They got great resources. They're not going to do that. No, they've got what I would consider a political ethics globally. But let's say an outside country come in and say that I want to fuck with Mexico for a little bit. So I'm going to start these exclusive, not a primary commodity coming out of like Chile or coming out of Argentina or something like that, but maybe a commodity that affects the primary commodities. Maybe it's something that is maybe it's not, say, like the trend fashion, but maybe it's an accessory to the trend fashion. You understand? So it's not like the clothing, maybe it's the shoes or the handbags or the jewelry that affects it. So they go lock into a commodity. That's just an example. Now we're referring to commodities that are affected by acts of God. Okay? I'm just trying to say how it affects the trade or the industry as a whole. So let's say an outside country come in and they say, we want to take this commodity and do exclusivity for 14 years. And they go to maybe, 13 others. And they do the same thing. They lock them in. And so they lock them in for 14 years. And this country say, now's the time to go fuck with Mexico. And so what they do is they get on the line and say, we don't like this, we don't like that, we don't like whatever the hell it is. And then they start needling you. Or they take somebody else that's an ally, that's a secret ally. Maybe through the same type of trade agreement. Why don't you do some more? And we're going to try to pull Mexico in. Because, see, I want you to pull Mexico in so I can come in. Because I'm not going to violate any peace agreements with the United Nations. But I have a right to defend my fucking allies without violating a peace agreement. You have to think about that, because you see this big giant over here, whoever he might be, who has a trade agreement with a smaller country. He has a right to protect that, but maybe he's utilizing that smaller country to start something up with a bigger country like Mexico, to pull them in so that he can attack Mexico. That's just an example against Mexico through this act, and then he then goes in, and Mexico thinks I've got solid allies for 50, 60 years, and then he goes in and pulls in the fucking trade agreements and say, now I'm calling this shit in. And then he has to pull all of their fucking allies away to this giant now, because now Mexico, example again, just Mexico, is now naked with no allies, because he has a fucking hand on this trade agreement that's unreasonable. And my point is that we can't allow this shit to happen. And you're thinking, well, what can we do if they're already doing it? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You go to your allies and say, hey, look, because I can guarantee you your allies are likely not really involved in this on the level that evilness is trying to do. But maybe they're doing something like, well, we're just trading. I didn't realize it was going to be that way. Just, there was some under table, that happens too. Under table money, and it was good, and I can help my people, and economy is so bad right now. A long-term agreement sounds great, and it does. But we're not thinking about on a military strategy. And that's where I'm fucking concerned. So what we do is you go to your allies, say, look, I'll buy you out on that contract. You do it with me, and we'll maybe even trade something else, a resource or something. I don't know, but there's a way to say, look, we'll forgive it. And then you register it with United Nations. And you say, this is going to be severed. Why? Because it's unreasonable and the acts are potentially military. And we can't have that. And then that violates a peace agreement. And that's all I have right now.